Good evening and welcome to the Writer's Block. I'm your host, John Ronan, and as you know now, in our 28th season, I interview artists about their craft, what they're working on, what they've accomplished, what they're planning for the future. It's a very wide net. We have on writers, but we also have on sculptors, we've had on actors, we've had on musicians, and we're about to interview a media artist whose name is going to be very, very familiar to you. It's a wide net, so if you want to suggest an artist, any brand, for the Writer's Block, watch for our address at the end of the show. We'd be glad to get your suggestions. I also want to remind you that the Writer's Block and all the other original programming produced here at Cape Ann TV for and about Cape Ann and available worldwide through the website is a result of cable access television. It's a wonderful cultural asset, and you don't get it if you subscribe to Dish. So don't be sucked in by those ads. You stay with cable. Tonight, I'm happy to say we have a media guru here who was on the show a number of years ago, and I wanted to invite him back to catch up on his exploits. He is Joey Matero, a born in Gloucester native who went to high school at Bishop Fenwick, then later went to Bentley College, and is now back in Gloucester. I think he spent a short amount of time in outlying areas like Hamilton, but he's back in Gloucester, and he's going to stay here. He is a co-owner of Captain Joe and Sons Lobster Company in East Gloucester, which you have probably heard of, but he is also the originator and chief boss and guru of Good Morning Gloucester. Joey, thanks for coming down to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
I mentioned before the show went on that you can't go anywhere on Cape Ann without hearing people saying, you see GMG today? Everybody knows GMG, Good Morning Gloucester. I never hear people say Good Morning Gloucester anymore. It's just GMG.
Yeah.
When did you start Good Morning Gloucester, and what is it?
I started Good Morning Gloucester December 29th, 2007. So in a little bit will be my 10-year anniversary.
Right now, 10 years.
Yeah. Very exciting. And I started out by myself. It was blogs had just started to be a thing, and I was posting on a online message forum called Cape Ann Online. And I had if you're familiar with a message forum, they're not as popular as they used to be, but there was a thread, and the title of my the thread was Good Morning Gloucester, and I would post daily photos from the dock to this online message board, and in the column to the on that message board, you could see how many people viewed that particular thread. And it was always one of the most popular threads on this message board because people from Gloucester, I think a main reason why it was so popular is because here I am down the dock taking photos of the fishing industry, right? And 30 years prior, probably 80% of the people that lived in Gloucester were either in the fishing industry or related to someone in the fishing industry. And at this time, when we started, it was probably the inverse, maybe 20%, because it had consolidated so much and the fish stocks had been so reduced, and Gloucester's become this vibrant thing that just doesn't depend on one thing anymore. So I knew there was something there. And
because you got a good response.
Because I got a response on this message board that I didn't own. Kathy Tarr, I don't know if you're Ringo Tarr's wife, I think she owns this message board, Cape Ann Online. And so I said, I'm putting all my photos and my time and energy into this thread blog, and I'm like, if I put it into a blog format, I can categorize it, and it's mine. If God forbid she decided to stop doing her message board, all this stuff just vanishes. All this work goes away. So the categories, and then it just grew. It became much more than just fishing industry posts. It was like the local restaurants, new businesses.
This is now with your own site.
Yeah, once I started goodmorninggloucester.com, www.
So it's a regular website.
Yes.
That's how you started out.
Blog.
A blog. And how long did it take you to figure out or work up the energy and the drive after somebody else being on somebody else's blog to figure? Well, I want to.
Well, that was a message board. They're distinct, different things.
Okay.
A message board is clearly a different thing. But as soon as I, made the leap, because Kathy was kind enough to allow me to actually, pimp the blog, Good Morning Gloucester, on KPN Online message board. So these people that had been tuning in to see what I was going to post next on the message board came over. That was where it got started, and then relentlessly placing the blog in front of people that would be interested in the different subjects. That's how it really took off.
Were you always interested in IT subjects and computers and
I was
social media?
I was definitely a geek. Well, there wasn't. Social media was not a thing back then. There was no Facebook. There was no Twitter. There was no Instagram back then. Social media, maybe there was MySpace. I'm not sure, but there wasn't social media back then. But I was a geek as far as liking computers and stuff like that. And I loved cameras. I loved anything gadgets. I loved gadgets. But in the early days of the blog, I don't know how long it was before I took on my first contributor. I think it was Sharon Lowe, I believe.
She's a wonderful photographer.
She's a great photographer. She's not with us anymore. She's a great person. But the roster has come, we've, over the time, we've probably had 25, 30 different contributors that submit regularly stories to the blog, which is really nice. It's created a lot of great friendships, a lot of great community, and there's a lot of diversity on the blog. Instead of just my view, there's people like Kim Smith that are really into butterflies and nature and stuff like that.
She's a wonderful designer of gardens.
Yes, absolutely. Then you have unbelievable photographers like Marty Luster and Bridget Matthews. Then you have people that tell great stories that go along with their photographs, like Nicole Schraft and the latest new contributor, Pat Dalpiaz. I have so many contributors that I hate. Joanne Silva and Peter and Vicky Van Ness do music listings. James Eves does art listings. Catherine Ryan does art, goes into the community and pulls what's happening, the latest things that are happening in the art and cultural.
Is she in the art committee?
She is, yeah. We have just it's Catherine with a C. She's phenomenal. She just won an award for Essex Heritage Award. Kim Smith just won an award. It's nice to have these people recognized.
If there's anybody out there by any chance who hasn't heard of GMG, Good Morning Gloucester, we're running the website, supering it on our screen 2 or 3 times during the half hour, and also the Good Morning Gloucester logo, the rooster.
The rooster. It's a seagull.
It's a seagull rooster. Excuse me. Okay. Seagull.
That's funny.
Well, they look a lot alike.
Yeah.
The seagull on Good Morning Gloucester, of course. I'm going to edit that out. So that people can get on and find out what's going on. You mentioned before we went on some anniversaries. The first you already mentioned now, the 10-year anniversary.
December 29th.
And you mentioned a personal anniversary.
Oh,
just
yeah. Well, I just turned 50.
Just turned 50.
Yeah, and we just had our 250th podcast.
250th podcast.
Yeah.
And in the fall, or is that going to coincide with the 10th anniversary of the?
In the middle of November, it was.
November. Tell us what a podcast is.
Podcast is similar to this, but it's audio. Generally, it's audio, and I have it set up down the wharf. On Sunday mornings, generally we tape, and we invite interesting people to come in and just like this. But generally we have between 3 and as few as 2 and as many as 15 people. This past Sunday, actually we've had a lot of the cast. Every time there's a show at Gloucester Stage, they come in, and they're great. The actors are always hams on the podcast. And we have different community groups.
I've been on a couple of those, and it's fun. It's in your office on the second floor.
Yeah.
Above the where all the traps and the pools are.
Yep.
Of the lobsters,
Yep.
and it's a wonderful little studio.
It's an old school kind of real office, isn't it?
It's like radio starting out 80 or 90 years ago, something like that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's funny. It's my favorite part of the blog, and I think it's because is people, and I'm a social animal. I love meeting people. I can't have enough friends, and it brings us together. Like I say all the time, I joke that I wouldn't care if anybody listened to the podcast because I just love the exercise of us all getting together and having the conversation. It's really special to me to have. I just love it.
Yeah. Everybody else does in Cape Ann as well. The GMG slogan is just amazes me.
It's funny. I was at Cafe Bisco, and former Mayor Bell's wife, she was cursing me, not really cursing me, but she was giving me
Jan Bell.
She was giving me a ribbing saying, "Joe, you're killing me with your podcast because John is waiting for it on Sunday night for it to get released so he can listen to it, and I can't get to sleep." And that's like one of my. I think I've brought that up a couple of times, but that's one of my favorite stories. I love hearing that.
Has he been on one of the podcasts?
He hasn't. No, he hasn't. He's kind of been out of the limelight since he had.
He's very involved in a couple fishing committees.
Northeast Seafood Coalition. I think he's still involved with that.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned when we were warming up for the show some figures, and you had me guessing about some figures, and I guessed way low.
You were way low.
Tell the audience what you were asking me to guess at.
Oh, I asked you how many posts you think that we've posted in the past 10 years,
and I think
you said 7,000.
7,000 in 10 years,
and it was 57,000.
57,000.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's. Well, I was way off. I don't want to characterize how off I was, but that's.
You were off by 50,000.
It was nothing compared to 50,000, 57,000.
Yeah. We generally do between average number of viewers per day is between 40 and 60,000 people a day, and the average is right around. It's probably closer to 45 on a regular day, 1,000 people. And when you think about that, there's only 30,000 residents in Gloucester. And out of those 30,000 residents, how many are kids that don't have access to a computer? It's a nice number.
And old people who don't know what computers are.
I wasn't going to say that. You said that. I didn't say that.
I can say that. I'm an old person. I can say that. So in other words, it's maybe half the city could be tuning in, tops, of our city. Yeah. So there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people all over.
I have a heat map, and I can see where the hits come.
Really?
Yeah, and so if you look at the coasts, obviously Massachusetts and Cape Ann, huge, heat map. Then Florida, especially in the winter, all the winter, the winter people that go down there, always trying to keep up with what's happening in town. A lot in Italy.
So this is live data. Streaming into the map.
It's the following day. Yeah.
Oh.
So the following day, I see how many, where the hits came from.
So all the
I was obsessed about
fed into this data bank, kind of visual data bank.
Yeah, I obsessed early on. That's what kind of drove me was the statistics. At least when we started, when I started out, in the first couple of weeks, it might have been, breaking 150 viewers per day was a big thing, and then when I broke 1,000, that was a huge deal. Then 10,000 was a huge deal. Then 100,000. It's just.
Good Morning Gloucester's been written up in a number of places.
Oh,
can you mention?
Oh God.
Couple places, maybe your couple, 2 or 3 favorite write-ups that either
so
paper
many.
or online.
I love that we won. was a couple of years ago. We won Boston, CBS Boston's Most Valuable Blogger Award. Thought that was pretty big. Won that a couple of years in a row. We won a bunch of bonds, and then the Best of North Shore Awards, and then they stopped doing the blog category because there was really nothing else like our blog to could compete with us.
You blew them out of the water.
I mean, really, I hear it all the time, like there's really nothing, so many communities, they don't have anything like this, you know, because we're so diverse with all the different contributors that we have, you know, so
it's
such
a lot of
varied
talent,
interest.
A lot of talent in this town,
Yeah.
The visuals on the site it's wonderful. You've got that wonderful broad beach banner.
Yeah, since the beginning. That's been since the beginning. I haven't changed it.
That hasn't changed in a long time.
I think there's something to tradition and keeping. You know, there's new. Like if you go to the web now, there's more. Like most websites are more interactive, and they have like they'll go to the landing page and there's like a video that starts, and there's this.
There's a lot of noise.
There's a lot of noise.
Too much noise. Too much noise.
Yeah.
And then there's often so many ads. You have to wait till they're loaded before you can do anything.
Well, we have a lot of content, so our site does often take a while to load, but nothing like some other sites that have a lot of ads that are trying to pull information from you. I won't mention their names.
Right. I want to ask you a couple of nuts and bolts questions. If you want to start, somebody out there is watching it, and they want to start a web page, they have to get a
URL. They have to register a domain. Well, actually, they don't even have to register a domain.
Then they got a server.
They don't have to do any of that. What you can go is you can go right to WordPress, or you can go to Google's is Blogger, I believe it is. WordPress, you can have a free blog right through WordPress. You don't have to register the domain. They'll
give you a domain.
Their domain will say, like when we started, it was www.goodmorninggloucester.wordpress.com.
Right.
I registered goodmorninggloucester.com just because very early on I recognized if I'm going to tell people where to find it on the street, like say I saw someone and I said, hey, I took your picture, it's going to be on the blog tomorrow, they're going to say, where's that? If I said www.goodmorninggloucester.wordpress.com, probably 70% of those people are going to be like, I don't remember. But when you shorten that URL to, it's just a trick of the trade.
If somebody wants to start that, what kind of expenditure should they expect?
Zero, if they wanted to.
Except they got to have a fast new computer. You have to upgrade, buy a brand new HP if you want to do anything?
Nope, because now the platforms everything's mobile based. So as long as I would say you need at the very least you need a phone that's 3 years old, and you could blog.
No more than 3 years.
Or an iPad. You could do it from an iPad.
Or laptop
or absolutely a laptop. Yeah.
I know WordPress. I've worked with WordPress. Pretty accessible. You don't have to have a degree in IT to operate, and just put up your own visuals, put up your own information.
Here's the thing. In anything, say it isn't even blogging. Say it's to fix your washing machine. There's this thing called. There's two things. There is Google, and there is YouTube. In my house that I had in Hamilton, a person that I may or may not have known through marriage, we had a broken oven, and it was a digital timers
and settings.
And the electrical panel was busted, and you called up to get it replaced. It was going to be $700. She, to her credit, got on YouTube. Someone explained exactly how to change out the part and where to order this module. She fixed it for $150 herself. Just about anything you can figure out how to do. Barbecue. I'm an avid barbecue, charcoal barbecue, smoking and charcoal barbecue. 90% of how I find out how to smoke tuna fish or smoke a brisket, 90% of it is I'll look at 10 different brisket recipes for a charcoal grill on YouTube, and I'll take what makes the most sense out of all of them.
Yeah.
And you know how to do it. It's free.
YouTube is monstrous. I saw recently 400 hours of footage are added to YouTube every minute. And
I'm surprised there's not even more.
And it's just monstrous. You can find anything.
So
you can see them doing it right in front of your eyes.
So I mean, and for, as far as blogging, they have there's software, free software that will take a screenshot of so people put these tutorials, WordPress tutorials, which is the platform which we blog on, of how to do each different step. You have a question, you type the question in the search box on YouTube, and I'm telling you, like 95% of the time, you're going to figure out how to do it. Step by step, you can pause it as they do it and learn. That's how I learned.
KPN TV shows, by the way, are
shout out to Eric.
Many times on YouTube as
Can
well.
we do a shout out to Eric?
Absolutely.
He has really taken this place to the next level. His outreach, I know he has reached out to me a bunch of times to come in. And
We're talking about Eric Archer, our director.
Yes.
I want to get the last name.
Oh,
in there.
I'm sorry.
People don't know who you're referring to.
Phenomenal job. I mean, I love Seneca, and everybody that has come before him. He's taking this place to the next level, no question. People should be funding this place and helping out because he is making this place more and more relevant every single day. And I know that because through conversations with him, the questions that he asks me, I know that he gets it.
The idea of
he knows what
contemporary
he knows
communication,
the idea,
electronic, social media, computers,
the whole
television.
Shebang. Yes, he is fantastic. Yeah, he's a good leader. Hopefully you can retain him at this place.
I hope so.
For quite a while. I don't know how a small marketplace can contain that kind of a but I hope we can.
Well, he's got a house in Beverly, so he can't move too fast.
I hope we keep him. He's doing a great job.
I agree. I'll mention for him especially to watch the show tonight.
Yeah, well, I don't know if there's enough hours in the day for him to watch all the programming here.
No, there isn't. You mentioned a couple other numbers to me. You asked me how many hits I thought you did.
How many views? Jeez.
Or how many views?
I'm gonna have to look at my phone. It was like
since you started.
Since we started, yeah.
10 years.
I'm gonna pull it up right here.
So, and I think I said I was trying to think of a huge number, and I said, 40,000.
No, you said like 50,000.
I said, did I say 50?
So
how many views have you had?
I started in December 29th, 2007. I used this service to track how many views starting January 19th, 2008. Since then, till now, 115,290,284 views.
Would you say that number again?
115,290,284 views. Good morning, Gloucester.
I guess I was a little off on that.
I don't know if he can zoom in on that right there. No, probably not. No. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. And I'll be honest with you, I have probably over half of the posts have been mine, but it would be a fraction of what the blog is without the contributors. The team. The team makes it exponentially better than if it was just me.
How many people are involved? You mentioned a number of names. If you could, without naming more specifically,
I think we have
30, 20?
There's probably 25 contributors. There's probably 10 that post on a daily basis, like every day. Don't miss their post. Donna Artizzoni. I almost didn't mention Donna Artizzoni. She's one of the sweetest, nicest people ever. And Donna, I think from day one, since she started on the blog, has not missed a day of posting, which I don't know. Other than myself, I'm not. And I may have even missed a day on vacation or so, or being out of thing. But in the past, she's probably been with the blog for 6 years or so, 5 or 6 years.
Every day. Is she a Gloucester woman?
She's a magnolia. She would say she's a Magnolia person. She's all about being a Magnolia person.
Oh, really? Yeah. I'm in Magnolia. I put
Strawberry
Gloucester on my
Cove.
return address. It's Gloucester.
Strawberry Cove. Yeah, she's great. She's such a
good for
great
her.
person. From
Good for
Somerville. She's from Somerville, Massachusetts, and that's the way she talks. Daughter Arizona. She's great.
So, escaped Somerville to Cape Ann, huh?
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's fantastic. I can't remember. I can't say all the names.
No,
I feel
that's
terrible.
always the trouble. If you start, you get somebody get in trouble.
Yeah.
What are the plans for expansion? Or
we're
moving
on such a
into
good-
different sites? Or
Well, we have. There are auxiliary sites. There's Cape Ann Eats, which is all restaurants. And there is Cape Ann Wellness, which is health, fitness, and wellness. And Cape Ann. So Cape Ann Community is a big part of Good Morning Gloucester, and so I was getting so many. I opened it up so nonprofits would send me their press releases, and I would have to edit their press releases and post them, and. My work, I get to work at 3 o'clock or 3:30 every day, 6 days a week.
I want to make sure our audience knows that's 3:30 in the morning.
That's right. And I generally don't get out until 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. So I'm to edit all these other people's, all these nonprofits' posts took up a lot of my time. So I started Cape Ann Community, and the way it works is these, like Sawyer Free Library, Cape Ann Museum, Art Haven, the Farmers Market, Cape Ann Special Olympics. There's quite a few. They post directly, the Phyllis A. Association posts directly to Cape Ann Community. It allows me to click on that post, hit one button that says reblog, and their post goes to Good Morning Gloucester. So it saves me a tremendous amount of time. They're in full command of their own marketing.
So you're aggregating these different
That's right.
different organizations. I have to hurry a little bit because we're almost out of time.
Oh, okay.
Joey, I want to thank you very much for coming down and filling us in on what Good Morning Gloucester has been doing since the last time you were on. I can't believe the numbers and the popularity that you're talking about, and I look forward to many, many more of my own mornings waking up with Good Morning Gloucester. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to thank our TV audience as well. If you've learned something about Good Morning Gloucester, Joey Sierra Matero's effort, a very, very successful effort that started out as a blog and now it's podcasts and all kinds of auxiliary sites within that original site, then the Writer's Block has done its job. Thanks for being with us, and I hope to see you again next week on the Writer's Block. Good night.